Imagine a world where your hard-earned cash could get you a game-changing item, or just another worthless repeat. Welcome to Second Life. Welcome to Once Human. Different platforms, same gamble. Today, we're exposing the return of gachas, overpriced loot crates, and the shady tactics that keep us spinning that wheel. Stick around. This isn't just a game, it's a rigged system, and we're here to call it out. Linden Lab just dropped a bombshell announcement. Gachas are coming back to Second Life. If you're wondering what a gacha even is, or why this is such a big deal, don't worry, I'm going to break it all down for you. So, let's start at the beginning. Gachas are basically virtual vending machines, a bit like the ones you'd find at the grocery store as a kid. You put in a coin, turn the handle, and you get a toy. Except in Second Life, you're not just buying toys. You're buying unique virtual items like clothes, furniture, or even pets. The catch? You never knew exactly what you were going to get. But it wasn't just the surprise element. Each gacha set often included a rare item, which made the experience even more thrilling. These rare items were highly sought after and added a competitive element, as everyone wanted that unique special piece. This excitement made gachas feel like a game of chance, with players hoping to score the rare item, and sparked gambling-like behaviors. From a reseller's point of view, gachas were also lucrative, since rare items could be sold at a higher price. On top of that, for some very strange reasons, gacha items were often better quality and had lower prims compared to full-priced items, making them desirable even for those who weren't interested in gambling. Personally, I found that if I wanted a very specific item, searching the marketplace often led me to gacha items. However, one of the major drawbacks with gachas was getting the same common items too many times, which could be frustrating. There were also allegations that some vendors set up their machines with an extremely low chance of ever getting a rare, since each vendor could configure the parameters. As much as gachas were exciting and desirable by some, they also brought a whole lot of drama with them. This combination of unique design, rarity, and affordability is what made gachas so distinct and beloved, until the ban came in 2021 due to some gambling concerns. Now, instead of gachas, Meepon machines were introduced as a replacement, and Linden Lab embraced this solution. Of course, not everyone was happy about gachas returning in a somewhat different form. Many residents were glad to see gachas banished from Second Life due to the concerns around gambling-like behavior. However, the ban also impacted popular events like the arcade, which had thrived purely on gacha sales and had to adapt by switching to the Meepon model. Meepon machines allowed you to see exactly what you were paying for before buying. No surprise element, just a straightforward purchase. This difference made Meepon machines acceptable allegedly under certain global regulations that were targeting gachas for their chance-based you-get-what-you-get nature. Essentially, it made the whole process more transparent and therefore, quote, legal. But as of October 7th, 2024, Linden Lab is lifting the ban on gachas. Kind of. They're bringing gachas back with a new twist. The items are no longer transferable. Once you buy a gacha item, it's yours to keep, but you can't pass it along to someone else. This might sound like a small change, but it's actually a big one, and it's aimed at addressing the gambling concerns that got gachas banned in the first place. There's a lot to unpack here, but before we dive deeper into the implications, let's look at why this matters. Not just for Second Life, but for the broader world of gaming as well. The return of gachas in Second Life isn't just a Second Life story. It's a headline that echoes across the entire gaming world. This move taps into a broader, heated debate about chance-based monetization, gachas, loot crates, and everything in between that has taken over the gaming industry. If you're not familiar, loot crates are the gaming world's answer to mystery boxes, found in countless popular games. You buy a crate, and you don't know what you'll find inside. Maybe it's just another common item, or maybe, if luck is on your side, it's that rare, coveted prize. It's the suspense, the what if, that hooks players, keeping them coming back for that elusive lucky pull. But just like gachas, loot crates have their own baggage, and it's heavy. Critics argue that these systems are designed to exploit players, nudging them to spend real money on items with uncertain value. The unpredictability, combined with the glittering allure of rare or exclusive items, turns these purchases into a virtual form of gambling. This is particularly worrying in games with younger audiences, kids and teens who may not fully grasp the risks they're taking or the real cost of their spending sprees. Take Once Human, for example, a free-to-play post-apocalyptic multiplayer survival game developed and published by Starry Studio, a subsidiary of NetEase, released on July 9, 2024. The game quickly gained popularity, even ranking number 1 in Steam's top sellers list on August 16, 2024. Despite its initial success, the game has sparked significant controversy with the release of not just 1, but 3 loot crates, each one managing to leave players feeling more disillusioned than the last. The latest loot crate, in particular, has drawn widespread criticism, featuring a car skin with an eye-watering price tag of $450 to $650. In a post-apocalyptic game, this car skin feels completely out of place, like it drove straight out of GTA 5 and into the wrong universe. Even the trailer seemed disconnected from the game's survival theme, and to make matters worse, none of the loot crates align with an apocalyptic setting either. Instead, each crate has a wildly different theme, none of which fit the gritty world of survival that players signed up for. Meanwhile, the fanbase has been clamoring for story-driven content. Players are eager to buy items that enhance the immersive experience, like pieces of furniture to decorate their bases. They want to feel more connected to the world, to have a choice in what they purchase and how they shape their environment. Yet, instead of listening to these passionate requests, the developers delivered 3 loot crates, none of which address the community's desires. One can't help but wonder if the developers of Once Human are best buddies with Linden Lab, considering how neither seems to care about their community, focusing instead on squeezing out every possible dollar. Not only that, Once Human has a seasonal wipe system, occurring approximately every 6 weeks, coinciding with the end of each scenario. During these wipes, all worlds reset, erasing buildings, exploration progress, mystical crates, gear crates, and character levels. This means that every time the game resets, players must re-unlock the car before they can even apply the skin they've already paid dearly for. So I'm guessing the first thing you'd do, which isn't necessarily the most important, would be to unlock the skin. After all, at that price, you'd surely want to be driving your dream car for as many weeks as possible before the reset, right? The whole setup felt, frankly, exploitative, and left many questioning the fairness of such a system. While some players still enjoy the thrill of obtaining a rare item, others have raised concerns about how loot crates can foster addictive behaviors. When you're spending real money to try to get a specific item, it can quickly spiral into spending much more than intended. This is why many gaming regulators have been stepping in. Another issue is how these chance-based systems deepen divides within gaming communities. Players who can afford to keep buying loot crates or gachas often end up with the best items, leaving everyone else in the dust. This pay-to-win culture alienates players who don't want or simply can't afford to keep spending. It's not just about fairness, it's about accessibility. Games should be enjoyable for everyone, without that constant pressure to open your wallet just to keep up. I left a comment on a thread where people were once again arguing about the announcement of yet another loot crate in Once Human. I said, they would sell much more if they had the stuff in the store and they'd have less angry people. It's rubbish and not even the style of the game. A random player replied to my comment with,
Wrong. Understand the difference between revenue and profit, and you'll know why loot crates are more beneficial to them as a business model. Angry people are just those without self-discipline. Do you think that if OP got everything he desired in his first 10 pulls, he would still be mad at the game? I don't think so. He'd most probably post about how lucky he is.
And speaking of pressure, let's address that charming little statement about self-discipline, because apparently it's just that simple, right? I mean, why even bother discussing the intentional psychological hooks designed by entire teams of experts to make us want to keep pulling those loot crates? No. It's clearly all about being disciplined. Sure, maybe you can stroll past a flashy, manipulative system that's literally engineered to exploit human nature, but expecting every player, including kids and those vulnerable to addictive behaviors, to do the same? That's not just naive, it's irresponsibly dismissive. Gambling addiction in gaming is not something we can ignore. It's an issue that lurks beneath the surface of many popular game mechanics, from gachas to loot crates. The psychology behind these systems is designed to hook players by tapping into the same reward pathways in the brain that gambling does. It's about creating that moment of anticipation, the adrenaline rush of not knowing what's coming, and then the high or the low when you finally see what you've got. That cycle, hope, excitement, reward, or disappointment, keeps people coming back, sometimes at a cost far greater than they intended. For many players, this doesn't stop at just fun. The element of chance, coupled with the allure of rare or exclusive items, often triggers compulsive behaviors. Psychologists refer to this as a variable reward schedule. You don't know when you're going to get the big reward, but you keep going. Because what if the next one is the jackpot? It's the same principle behind slot machines, and it's why people get hooked. In games, this mechanism can lead to players spending hundreds, even thousands of dollars in search of that one elusive prize. It's even more concerning when you think about how young and impressionable some of these players are. Kids and teens are especially vulnerable to these tactics. They may not fully understand how these systems work, or the financial risk involved. When you combine the thrill of getting a rare item with the social pressure to show off in front of peers, it creates a perfect storm for developing unhealthy spending habits early on. Take the example of Once Human, where players are willing to spend up to $650 on a car skin. Many people in the Once Human community were understandably upset. This skin looked incredible, but the price tag put it out of reach for most players. And yet, others responded with comments like, "Nobody is forcing you to buy it." For most people, that might be true, but the reality of gambling addiction is different. For some people, discipline and money is not an issue, and it's great, well done you. But for others, The temptation can be overwhelming, and many players end up gambling away their paychecks just for the chance at that one perfect item. The sad part is that people are playing games to relax, to escape, to unwind after a long day, not to be caught in a trap of temptation when they have families to support or bills to pay. And to circle back to that comment about revenue and profit, it's true that loot crates can rake in massive revenue, but at what cost? If developers really need to have exclusive items, and if some people are willing to pay that much, then why not sell the skin outright for $600? The difference wouldn't be in the profit, but in the ethics and fairness of the approach. Selling items directly provides transparency, fairness, and a clear price, rather than banking on the psychological manipulation of gambling mechanics to milk players for even more. Sure, you might get fewer people spending overall, but at least it's honest, and it wouldn't alienate a huge part of the player base who just want a fair gaming experience without being preyed upon by these predatory tactics. In fact, countries around the world have been taking a closer look at these systems. Belgium and the Netherlands, for instance, have banned loot boxes entirely because they consider them a form of gambling. And in other places, developers are required to disclose drop rates, basically the odds of getting a specific item, so players at least know what they're up against. Now, let's bring this discussion back to where it all started. Second Life. The return of Gachas is baffling, and honestly, it feels like Linden Lab has completely contradicted their own stance. First, they allowed exploitation by enabling gambling through gacha mechanics, effectively padding Linden Lab's pockets with the revenue generated from all that gambling. And sure, we get it. All companies want to limit liability for litigation. But there was no litigation, or at least none that we were made aware of. In California, both Google and Sony won lawsuits from parents upset that their kids had racked up huge bills on loot boxes. Second Life, by contrast, doesn't even allow minors, nor does it have loot boxes that are essential to game progress. Then, they abruptly banned gachas, claiming it was to comply with gaming regulations and protect residents. But was there any real regulatory pressure? No law enforcement came knocking. No formal legal action was taken. Nothing, as far as we know. Or at least nothing they bothered to share with us. It all seemed like a way to cover their bases, maybe because of a vague legal climate, rather than any specific law. And now, they're bringing gachas back, but with a twist that strips away much of what made them exciting in the first place. Why even bother if the items are non-transferable? It feels like a half-baked attempt that completely misses the mark on what players enjoyed about gachas. Whether we like it or not, gachas were a huge part of Second Life's culture, with their issues and all. Sure, they gave residents a thrill, the rush of landing that rare item everyone wanted. But it wasn't just about owning a virtual item. It was about being able to trade it, to sell those duplicates, to make back some of what you spent, or even to give your good duplicates to friends, or random people, like I've done a few times. With non-transferable items, that entire dynamic of thrill and value is stripped away, leaving behind a hollow experience that feels pointless for a lot of players. Truth be told, I did buy gachas, but I was never a big fan of the mechanics. For some sets, it made no sense why certain items were considered rare at all. And don't even get me started on sets where the commons were completely useless without the rare. You could end up spending a small fortune and still never get the piece you needed to make it worthwhile. Oh, and remember, when you thought you had something unique, only to find out that your rare was just a template being sold in a fat pack for 60 Lindens at a weekend sale? Talk about feeling duped. And let's not forget the scammers on the marketplace selling empty boxes, and Linden Lab's charming response of, "Not our problem." But there were also some absolutely amazing gacha sets, and I used to love roaming the arcade just to see them in all their glory. Yeah, I know, I could have looked it up on the website, but the arcade was a vibe. Okay? Don't judge me. I remember one time, on my second pull, I scored a rare wardrobe from Rain. That thing was a total prim hog, but who cares? It was the best looking wardrobe back then, and you bet I had it rezzed every chance I got. And sure, you could sell your commons, but honestly, putting them on the marketplace was such a tedious nightmare. Most of them wouldn't even sell, and the whole process just demotivated me. And let's not even mention the time I deleted an entire folder, rare and all. Nope, we're not going there. Let's just laugh it off. To this day, I still use some of Trebla's gacha items for props because they are simply unmatched. Low prims, amazing details, and a sense of charm you just can't find in full-priced items. Lagom and Second Spaces had some killer unique decor pieces too. For me, gachas have always been a love-hate relationship. Love them for the unique high-quality items and hate them for the gamble you have to endure to get them. It's like wanting the perfect cupcake, but having to spin a wheel to see if you get the frosting or just a plain muffin. However, I enjoy browsing and buying gacha items directly from the marketplace. So what is Linden Lab trying to achieve here? The new no transfer rule fundamentally changes the dynamic and makes no sense. It feels like they're creating new loopholes instead of actually addressing the real issues. They claim this will eliminate the secondary market where resellers took advantage of residents, but it seems contradictory. The Meepon system already offered a fair alternative. Players could see what they were buying. No surprises. And if they ended up with duplicates, they could at least sell them. Removing that ability doesn't fix anything. It just traps players with items they can't do anything with. I'm not claiming Meepon machines are ideal. Repeatedly checking the numbers, hoping to see the prize you're aiming for, is unhealthy behavior. However, they do offer some transparency. At least you know what you are getting. The original system had flaws, but it also had a spirit, a community vibe that can't just be recreated by taking away features and calling it safer. Yet here we are, with Linden Lab pretending that this is somehow a fix. The no transfer rule might stop resellers from cashing in, but it doesn't change the addictive nature of the gachas themselves. The temptation to keep spending for that rare item is still there, and that's something Linden Lab seems determined to ignore. Residents will still be throwing money into these machines, hoping for that one lucky pull. The risk of residents overextending themselves, of getting caught in the cycle of just one more try, is still alive and well. Taking a step back, it's clear that both Second Life and games like Once Human are facing similar challenges. Despite being fundamentally different, one a virtual world, the other a game, both platforms seem to put profit ahead of the community experience. Once Human frustrates its fan base with overpriced loot crates that feel out of place with the game's theme, while ignoring fans' requests for more straightforward purchases. Players just want the ability to choose what they buy without the gamble. Similarly, Second Life's gacha revival feels out of touch with what residents actually want. The excitement of trading, sharing, and a sense of community. In both cases, people end up losing out, as developers seem focused on short-term profits rather than fostering a loyal and engaged community. What do you think? Are these platforms actually listening to us? Or are they just cashing in at our expense? Ever felt like you're getting the short end of the stick with these money-grabbing tactics? Spill the tea in the comments. I want to hear all the salty details. If you got a kick out of this rant, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next one. Let's keep shaking things up together. This is Priska Newall from Second Life Spectrum, signing off. Until next time, stay fierce, stay creative, and remember, it's your world. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.